Blessed be everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is another video on the tarot. We're going to be talking about the Tarot Court, and I also have a book recommendation and a bit of a review as well. But before we dive in, I am Sandra from MysteryWitchSchool.com. I am the creator of the Confident Tarot Reader course. That is a course for you to become a confident tarot reader using your intuition and your knowledge so that you can read tarot for yourself or others without the self-doubt and the confusion, or feeling like a deer in the headlights when you see a spread and everything you know about the tarot just goes out of your head. There's a link in the description field below this video for more information about that course and how you can enroll. The videos that I do on this channel vary from videos on tarot, on shadow work, witchcraft and Wicca. And the reason why they're so varied is because as magical practitioners, we do a lot of different things. So that's why there's different videos on different topics. I really love helping soulful witches and pagans who want to connect to their spiritual roots, who want to reach their full potential and consciously create a life full of joy and peace and magic without the self-doubt and without the confusion. So if that sounds like you, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any videos. I also read tarot cards and do tarot coaching, so if you want to know more about that, there's more information. Check out all of the links in the description field below this video because there's quite a few things that you can learn and do at the Mystery Witch School. So today I wanted to talk about the court cards because they're difficult for a lot of people. I found them difficult because, well, they're multifaceted. They appear to be, but really deep down inside, they're not. They're actually quite simple, and we make them more complex because we worry about whether the court card is indicating other people in a reading or whether it's referring to personality aspects of the person that we're reading for, and that's where it can get confusing. So the court cards are the pages, the knights, the kings and queens. In various decks they can be called different things, but in a lot of the standard decks, particularly the Waite-Smith deck, they're known as the page, the knights and the queens and the kings. And while the kings and queens do really represent personalities, the pages and the knights can also represent messages or events. So they've got an extra level of complexity to them than, say, the queens or the kings do. They represent the masculine and feminine energies or aspects or yin and yang of the personality as well, or the person that they're referring to. So you'll see that the qualities that they represent are going to be either of an active nature or a receptive nature, and you'll see that in the descriptions of the kings and the queens particularly. So you're looking at the principle of gender, the yin and yang aspects within a person as well. So that's another layer of complexity to the court cards. They can represent personality characteristics, and that's really what they're talking about. They're personalities, and people are personalities. We all have our personalities. We all are multifaceted. I'm sure that when you study the court cards and you do a lot of the activities that are associated with learning court cards, ones that I teach in my course, The Confident Tarot Reader, as well as activities in this book that I also want to talk about, you'll find that you've got aspects of, just drop the book, you've got aspects of those court cards within you too. Probably all of them to some extent. So it's about finding those court cards within yourself, and that's a part of your learning journey when it comes to the court cards. The court cards can also represent the maturity of the person or personality characteristics as well. The kings and queens tend to indicate mature people, so people over the age of 35. The knights adults, but young adults between, say, 20 and 35, and then the pages often represent children and sometimes teenagers as well. So you can find that there's that aspect to knowing what they are when they fall into a reading. And this is where your intuition comes in and your knowledge of the court cards. So when you're looking at the court cards, you've got the personality characteristics, you've got the elements that they represent, because each of the court cards fall into each of the 4 suits of the tarot, which represent the 4 elements of earth, fire, air, and water. You're also looking at planetary correspondences as well, astrologically, so you can get deeper and deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole of the tarot in general and the court cards. But the way to read the court cards, really simple in a reading if you're an absolute beginner, is to notice how many court cards turn up in the reading. If there's only one court card, it could just be indicating the qualities of the person that you're reading for. If there's more than one, then there's other people involved, and the court cards are representing those other people that are involved. When you read the tarot, you're reading the court cards together as part of the reading. So when we're doing a story, when we're talking about reading the tarot as if you're telling a story or relaying a movie to somebody, those court cards are characters or personalities. So they might be the personality of the main character, which would be the querent or the person you're reading for, or they could be other people that are part of the screenplay in that person's situation. And the general rule is ask the querent, tell them about those qualities. If it's just one court card, it's probably got something to do with them personally. But if there's other court cards in the reading, then there's other people that are somehow influencing the reading or influencing the querent in some way. And that's just about all you can do about the tips on how to read them, because it really relies so much on where they're placed in the reading and on the feedback that you get from the querent. The book that I wanted to talk about, it doesn't tell you necessarily, again, how to read the court cards, because as I said, you can't really tell someone how to read the court cards because there's a number of different options, as I've mentioned. But it gets you used to the court cards and working with the court cards that you get so familiar with the court cards that when they do come up in a reading, you intuitively know where they're coming from, whether it's a message coming in from the page or whether it's personality characteristics. If that court card is representing the person themselves or somebody else in that person's life, you will get an understanding of where that comes in through practice and through knowing the court cards. Now, this book here called Understanding the Tarot Court, it is by Mary K. Greer and Tom Little. I'll put a link in the description field below this video, so if you want to go and have a look at this book on Amazon, you can use that link to go and find the book, and if you like it, buy it. I am now an Amazon associate, so if you do use my Amazon links, that does help me out for sure. But it is a really, really good book, and I thoroughly recommend it to those of you who are going beyond the basics and are looking to deepen your understanding of the tarot. So I want to go through how the authors in this book approach you learning the tarot court and deepening your understanding. The first thing is looking at the elements and how they correspond with the various different elements. Looking at the court cards as a family. So if they were a family, for example, there's some scenarios with the family, say they went out for a family day out. What would that family do for a family day out? If they're the Wands suit, for example, they're probably going to be more adventurous and more active in what it is that they do, opposed to, say, the earth signs, which might be more introspective or more practical in what it is that they do. You also get to look at their court cards in society. So if they're different members of society, maybe they've got different occupations, and attributing what those occupations may be to those court cards is another way of playing with them and understanding them, so that when they come up in a reading, you can start to ask your querent more questions about somebody's occupation and what it is that they might do, simply because you're so familiar with the activities that you've done on the court cards. Court cards in relationships, so how they'd relate together if they were friends, or if they were in a relationship, or if they were working together. How would those court cards work together? Would they work together? Would there be conflicts? And if there were, what sort of conflicts would there be? There's understanding the astrology of the court cards as well in this book, so that you can see the different signs, like the Knight of Pentacles, for example, is Virgo, and how would Virgo interact with, say, the Knight of Cups, which is Pisces. So, and how do those two, how do they connect? Because Virgo and Pisces are opposites, complementary opposites in the astrological chart. So how does that feature into what those cards mean, and if those cards came together? A lot of it is to do with comparing the cards, bringing the cards together, doing little scenarios, like little role plays with the cards to put them into a real life kind of situation. And what I love about this is that it builds on the storytelling technique of the tarot, and how if you're telling stories, imagining that these are real life characters and how they're interacting and what they're doing, it brings them to life. So when you are reading and putting them together in a reading, they're going to make so much more sense to you. So the best way to read court cards in a tarot reading is to get to know them really, really well. Play with them as if you are creating a puppet show with your court cards, so that when you get to know them so well, they come up in a reading and you will know whether it's referring to the querent's personality or whether it's referring to other people in the querent's life, and even have an understanding of whether there's an event that's coming up for that person that's represented by a knight, or whether it's a message that the pages have for that person. But it's really the only way to know is by getting to know the actual cards themselves. There's no other shorthand way. There's no quick tip that I can tell you, apart from if there's more than one court card in a reading, it's probably other people in there. It's really just getting to know those court cards, and this book is a really good and fun way to do that. So check that out. And also check out the Confident Tarot Reader course. It is still going. It's been very popular lately. It really does help you learn to read the tarot cards confidently and in a way that is fun, okay? And if you are an only person, as you don't have anybody that you can practice on, it gives you ways that you can practice reading the tarot without necessarily having to have other people there to read for all of the time, because you get so familiar with telling the tarot stories that when you do come to read for someone, and there's that extra layer there of connecting to another person and getting feedback from another person and having a real life situation there, that you will just find it's even easier to read the tarot for somebody else than it is to just do mock reading. So do check out the Confident Tarot Reader. There's a link in the description field below this video. If you like the video, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm Sandra from MysteryWitchSchool.com. Blessed be.